Welcome to Weir Reading Virtual Storytime for the week of October 3rd, 2021, Part 2. This week's theme is Space. I Am the Solar System by Rebecca and James McDonald. I am the solar system. I'm the place where your planet Earth and 7 other planets circle around a very important star called the Sun. I'm like a big neighborhood, and the Sun is right in the middle. The Sun is the biggest object in the neighborhood. Its gravity keeps all kinds of objects circling around it. You can't see gravity, but it keeps things from floating away, even you. When one or more objects circle around another object, it's called orbiting. The planets orbit the Sun, and many have moons that orbit them. Time to explore the neighborhood. There's no air to breathe once you leave Earth, and space is really cold, so a special spacecraft and spacesuit are needed for traveling the solar system. Ready for blastoff? 3, 2, 1! Just ahead is the first and closest planet to the Sun, Mercury. It's also the smallest planet. Venus is the second planet from the Sun. Even though it's not the closest, it's the hottest planet in this solar system. The third planet from the Sun is Earth. That's where you live. Earth is the only planet in this solar system that holds all kinds of life on its surface. The fourth planet orbiting the Sun is Mars. Many spacecraft have visited the red planet Mars. Planets aren't the only things that orbit the Sun. Just after Mars is the Asteroid Belt. The Asteroid Belt is filled with dust, asteroids, and even a dwarf planet named Ceres. Tighten your seatbelt. It could get a little bumpy, but don't worry about crashing into anything. Asteroids in the Asteroid Belt are far apart from each other. Asteroids are mostly made of rock. Some are tiny, and some are gigantic. Just past the asteroid belt is the 5th and largest planet orbiting the Sun, Jupiter. Scientists call it a gas giant because its surface is made of gas and liquid. That means there's no ground for a spaceship to land on. The 6th planet from the Sun is Saturn. It's also a gas giant. The rings that circle Saturn are made of ice, rock, and dust. Saturn's strong gravity keeps the rings from floating away. The 7th planet from the Sun is Uranus. It's called an ice giant because it's very icy and cold. Neptune is the 8th and farthest planet from the Sun. It is also an ice giant. Scientists found Neptune by using numbers and math before they actually even saw it. Neptune's the farthest planet from the Sun, but the solar system doesn't end there. Next is the Kuiper Belt. It's a giant freezing ring filled with rocks, dust, ice, and other space objects. The dwarf planet Pluto is part of the Kuiper Belt. Keep an eye out for bright objects with long streaking tails speeding through space. They're called comets. The Sun holds the planets and other space objects in place with its gravity. It also protects the solar system in a giant bubble made of solar wind. The solar wind comes off the Sun's hot surface and blows in every direction, past the planets and even beyond the Kuiper Belt. It blows as far as it can until it forms a giant bubble around the solar system called the heliosphere. Outside of the heliosphere is where scientists say the solar system comes to an end and interstellar space begins. Interstellar space is the space between stars. There are only 2 spacecraft that have made it out of the solar system and into interstellar space, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and they are still exploring. I'm not the only solar system in space. There are many more stars out there with planets that orbit them, but so far I'm the only solar neighborhood with a planet that's filled with life. See if you can answer these questions about the solar system. The end. Alright, we're going to make a splatter painted solar system. So what you'll need for this is a glue stick to glue your planets on. You'll need some white paint on a plate or in a bowl. Just a little bit will do. And then your Craft-to-Go kit. I'm going to carefully take this off so I don't rip it. I'm probably going to rip it. My nails are short. I should have my staple remover, but I don't have it on me. Alright, your Craft-to-Go kit includes some sticker stars, your planets and the sun. Take those all out and put them aside. And also, if I can get it out, a toothbrush. Now, what on earth are we using a toothbrush for? Well, we're going to use that to paint. And the paint is going to be the stars and nebula out in the out in space. I'm going to move these way aside because here's all the planets. Because we're going to splatter paint. And to splatter paint, what we're going to do is we're going to dip it into the paint, and then we're just going to take and we're going to flick it onto the paper. So it'll be like this. So see, I'm dipping and flicking. See how it just gives you a little bit of splash to it? Now you're going to probably want to have wipes or a washcloth or something on hand for your fingers. And some of them will go tiny dots and some of them will be splatters, and it's cool. We got one big dot. We'll probably cover that with a planet or something. Now ideally what we'll want to do when we're done with this, and you do this as much as you want, we're going to put the planets on while this is still wet, because as long as you don't rub it, it won't bother. But I think that's good. See, not much paint at all. I'm just gonna grab a tissue and wipe it off. That works just fine while it's still wet. Ideally, you'll want to put the planets in order. So the first thing I'm gonna do is the sun, because the sun is what all the planets revolve around. So I'm just putting, it's kind of hard to do this in front of the camera because the paper's there. I'm gonna put some glue on the outside of the sun, and I'm gonna stick it down. Oops, I got paint on the sun. Oh wow. There, it wipes off. Now, the next thing closest to the sun is Mercury. And you'll notice Mercury is a very small planet. Actually, I noticed that the template that I used mixed Mercury up with little baby Jupiter here, I think Uranus. Not sure which one, but Mercury's the closest. The next closest is Venus. And we know that Venus is the hottest planet because of the atmosphere. So put Venus there. We're kind of having to put them close because they're the paper's too small. The next planet, the third planet, is Earth, and that's our planet. It's the only planet with actual life on it right now that we know of. After Earth is Mars, which is the red planet. Mars. And these would be all around the sun normally, but we're just getting them in order. And then next we know the asteroid belt is there, but we're not going to put that in. We're going to put in Jupiter, which is the next one. It's the gas giant. And this is actually what Mercury kind of looks like. They mixed them up for some reason. But we know that Jupiter is the largest planet. These are definitely out of proportion because even though it's so big, it's nowhere near the same size as the sun. So we're going to put Jupiter on there. then Saturn's the next one. That's the one with the rings. And gravity holds the rings in place. Now these outer planets all have moons and everything, but we don't put those on because it's just, again, space. So that's Saturn. And Uranus also has a ring, but it's harder to see. We have that on there. Some people call it Uranus, some people call it Uranus. Either way is fine. And then comes Neptune. Neptune's a big blue ball. It's one of the smaller gas planets, but it's larger than the Earth. And then we have little tiny baby dwarf planet Pluto way out in the outer. And that's part of the Kuiper Belt, as we know. But it's out there. And then if we want, we can take some stars and just make it look pretty. Just stick them all wherever. And that's our solar system. And you can do it how you want, but this is it in order. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and maybe little Pluto.